What's up, guys? Before the video starts, I just want to say that we're going to start doing giveaways every month to our patrons. So if you want a chance to win a knife every single month or some other gear every month that we like, then become a patron. This month we're giving away the knife from this video, the Kubey Nova. We really like this knife and we want to give away things that we really enjoy and like. So you might not know what you're going to win every month until the time comes, but that's the beauty of it and that's the fun of it. Become a patron, win some stuff. Love you guys. Peace. Bang, these knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara is not with us today, but today we are checking out the Kubey Nova. This knife is around 8.5 inches long with just a little bit over 3.5 inch blade, about 3 5/8. Here is the Spyderco Shaman right next to it, which you can see it's a little bit longer than the Spyderco Shaman. And then here's a couple Kubeys. Here's the Kubey Eris. And then here's the Kubey Anteater. Alright, so now this knife is a D2 blade, titanium handled, titanium milled clip. And they also do come in AUS 10, which AUS 10 is not like AUS 8. It is better than AUS 8. It's more like a VG 10 kind of steel. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. But anyway, so the name of this knife, the Nova, came from Big Red. He's another knife channel. I hope you guys know who Big Red is. So on Instagram, they were asking, Kubey was asking, people to throw out some names. What do you think we should name this? And I'm pretty sure it was Big Red that picked the name. And if I'm wrong about that, Big Red, if you see this, let me know that I'm a liar down in the comments. All right, so let's get into the good and bad of this knife. So one, it has a beautiful drop point blade, full flat grind blade that gets down to about 18 thousandths behind the edge, nice and thin, and it's got just a nice tall grind. And then it's got this beautiful swedge. The grind on it was done very well. I bought this for around $100 from Kubey. It normally takes about 4 days to get here because of all this, like everything that's going on. It took a little bit longer than that. It took about a week and a half. But Kubey's awesome. Kubey does have distributors in the US and they normally get to you very fast. And they also got very good customer service. So if you ever have a problem with anything, you can talk to Kubey right on Instagram or however, and they do communicate with you and they help you very nicely. They've always treated us good. Even before we were a knife channel, they treated us good. They even gave us our first knife to check out before we ever even had 100 subs. And it all came from just having good communication with them on Instagram. Really cool people over there. So that's definitely a great thing. I like being in contact and being friends with the people from the companies. Now, this does have a nice sharpening choil and the grind is nice and even from one side to the other, so sharpening it was really nice. It was easy to sharpen for one, and the blade shape is just nice and easy. And since the grind was nice and even from one side to the other, it went pretty simple. Now I did have a burnt edge from the start. I did use it, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I posted a picture and it had a bunch of nicks from about here to here. It was just all nicked up from using it. And which was kind of expected, I guess. You could expect that. And I was using it. So I sharpened it up, sharpened really nicely. So far, so good. I'm sure it needs a couple more sharpenings, but so far it's really good. I put about an 800 to 1,000 grit edge on there, and it got nice. I mean, it's a very nice edge, and the slice is really good. It's not a really thick blade stock, so it goes through materials very nicely. And the knife doesn't feel as big as it is. It's very, very wieldy, I guess you could say, because of how light it is. I mean, this thing's got milling galore on both sides, very nice and milled out, so it's nice and light. And the jimping, that's exactly where your finger lands because the knife does sit a little bit back in your hand because of the way it's shaped. It sits nice and back. And it's nice and comfortable. It sits nice in your palm. And even though it does not have a deep carry clip, which you can see a lot's hanging out, but that's something for you to grab and pull out. But even though it's not a deep carry clip, where the clip does sit for my hand is actually a nice little spot because it's like in the pocket of my hand where I don't really feel it. Anywhere I put my hand, I mean, I barely feel it, which is really cool. So maybe if it was pushed back a little bit, maybe I'd feel it. But yeah, and the clip does work very well in and out of the pocket, nice and tight. It does have a nice tight spot right there. So yeah. Okay, so the action. One thing, you can already see that nice, easy access to the lock bar, which you guys already know. I love that. It's one of my pet peeves, or at least if you watch the channel, you know I hate it when it's hard to get to the lock bar. This knife is absolutely very easy to get to the lock bar. The action, the detent, you can hear the detent. Very nice and strong, nice and clicky. Nice mechanical sound. It feels kind of like the Anteater. Very similar. But so the flipper tab is proud, or it's higher than the pivot. The pivot, when you get a flipper tab that's higher than the pivot, you're going to have a lot of leverage on the, for the flipper tab to knock the blade out. This is not a push button knife. You do not push button it, and you don't really use that jimping because you don't really go like this. Your hand just doesn't sit in a good spot to do that. So what you do is you basically just hook the corner, the little round end, and pull it down, and it flies out. Nice mechanical sound and feeling. And the detent is strong, but you can put your fingers on the lock bar, which is really cool. And, as long as you don't put your finger directly on top of the detent ball, like right there, as long as you put it right here or anywhere right here, you don't have no problems with that. And maybe it's because you have so much leverage, but it's not a problem. I love the sound of it locking up. And then the detent ball, when you unlock it, it's right there. It does not have a detent track, but when you unlock it, it's already past the detent. Even though the detent ball is a little far right there where you unlock it at, it's definitely past it. So you never really run into that. Nice and easy to unlock and fire, unlock. So nice and easy to use and fidget with. The drop on it is nice and smooth. It is on ceramic ball bearings and a ceramic detent ball, so very smooth. It is nice and centered. I did take it apart and clean it, and it went right back to nice and centered. The lock bar, the tension is right where you want it. And I will say, when I first got it, I could tell, and this is kind of hard to explain right now, but I did have to, or I did notice, like I said, it's hard to explain, but when I got it, I could tell it needed to break in. It needed some flips. And I knew just from knowing Kubey that, okay, this thing's just needing to be flipped a few times. What was wrong? Nothing really. I think it was just the lock bar was a little, it needed to break in just a little bit. And so I did. Flipped it a couple dozen times, and it broke in really nice. You can see the lock bar, nice and early lockup, exactly where you want to see it. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm probably going to be giving this thing away to the Patreons this month. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway every month to the Patreons. I'm hoping I can stick with that. I have a couple already planned, but we'll see how it goes. But so far, this is probably going to be gifted to the Patreons, and that's because I really like the knife. That's why it's a good knife. So let me get back to it. Okay, so where was I? The ergos. Let's just go back to the ergos. The ergos are really nice. You can use the finger choil, and if you want to choke up to do push cuts like this, I just put my middle finger right there and lock it in, and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't know what the problem is with people just putting their finger over the flipper tab, but if you don't like that, you can just do it from right here. Now, you're not going to get the same amount of tension right there because of how thin it is. That's why I like to go like that, but that's me. The lock bar tension is really nice. It has a nice, good size stop pin, perfect for if it'll stop being so damn blurry. Perfect for the size of the blade it is. Okay, you see this nice little line groove down it. That's really cool. Kind of like that. Kind of lines up with this line. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so what's some bad things on it? You know, everything seems so good on it. What could be bad? Well, they use T6s and a T8 pivot. I don't know why. Because even on their older knives, they use T8s. These are all T8s. Well, no, not this one. Sorry. Let's skip this one. This one didn't have T8s. It had T6s. But all their titanium frame locks that I've ever held, even the little tiny Thanatos, that thing even had T8s all the way around. This has a T8 pivot and T6s all the way around. What is up with that? I do not like that. Also, this thing does have quite a bit hanging out of the pocket. Now, some people think that's a good thing because you have something to hang on to, depending on how many knives you carry, if you only carry one, and also depending on where you're at. That doesn't bother me too much, but I also, if I'm carrying 2-3 knives, I don't want them all hanging out of my pocket this much. You know, it looks kind of weird, but it's not a big deal. Not at all. This thing carries really nice. Another bad thing is the bead blast. This is D2. Now, it's the same finish that they have on the Anteater. It's a bead blast, not a stonewash. I would have way rather seen a stonewash or a satin finish, but it is what it is. You just got to be careful with rust on this because it's D2. And because it's D2, I wish they wouldn't have put the bead blast because it's a lot more susceptible to rust. You just got to take care of it, though. Another bad thing is the price. And you know, and I'm not even gonna say it's that big of a deal. $100 for this thing isn't that bad, but it is D2, and a lot of the competitors for a D2 and titanium frame lock would be around $80-$90. So I would have liked to have seen it there, but I will say that Kubey does lots of deals all the time. They're always doing deals. Go on their website. If you haven't been to Kubey's website, go to their website. They have a ton of knives, and they're always doing deals. Like, you'll see a knife for that's $80, it'll be $50, you know, for a week. Or a knife that's $140, all of a sudden be down to $100. So, you know, keep an eye on that. And also, I will say they also did make the Eris in micarta. So if you like this knife, which I love this knife, they did make a micarta version for $60, only $10 more than this bad boy. And it's real micarta or real carbon fiber, you know. So, but I really like the company. I think they're an awesome company. I like to, you know, to show their knives, and I've given a few of their knives away because I think they do make good knives and for a good deal. So that's why I am going to give this to the Patreon. So if you are interested in this knife, you can become a Patreon and have a chance to win this, and you have a lot better chance than if I did it just on my channel, because then you'd be fighting, you know, against a couple thousand people rather than 25, 30 people, however many Patreons I wind up getting. So this is a really cool knife. I do really like it. It's very useful. Nice blade shape. Great ergos. It does keep you back just a little bit, like I said before. But a lot of people really like that. I don't mind it. It's kind of, you know, it's got that real useful blade shape. I mean, it's very wieldy, like I said. So I do like this knife a lot. It's a good knife. There is a few things like the T6s and stuff like that they could have improved. And, you know, it's D2 for $100, but titanium frame lock. Good action, milled out. You know, the company's always been great to me. So, all right, guys. Love you guys. Peace.